Welcome back to Blissfully Unaware. That, of course, was Bobby. And we got a new segment for you. I know a couple weeks ago we did a whole thing where we gave you a whole new lineup. Fuck that. We're not going to do all that. We're too weird. But today we have a new segment called what was it, Bobby? Cinematic Movie Showdown? Is that what it was? Something
Tuesday!
Tuesday Cinematic Showdown.
Showdown.
We literally came up with it 2 seconds before I hit record. But yeah, basically what it is, we pick two movies, go head to head. Which movie is better? We're going to argue it. And this week, I got the good old one of my favorite movies of all time, Forrest Gump. Bobby, what do you got?
Sling Blade.
Sling Blade. So, who wants to start us off? Bobby, you want to go ahead and give us your argument of why Sling Blade is the better movie?
Yeah, I'll take it from here.
Okay, you got it, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, and I'll try to get started here. So, my movie, Sling Blade, I chose this movie because it hits the heart, just like Forrest Gump does to everyone, as it does to me. Forrest Gump is, as well, one of my favorite movies. But I think Sling Blade hits the heart in a way to where it trumps Forrest Gump, and I will explain these reasonings.
Let's hear it.
Sling Blade, the character himself, Billy Bob Thornton created this character roughly 4 years before the movie came out. So the movie came out in 1996. But 2 years before that, in 94, when Forrest Gump came out, they created the short film called, some people call it a Sling Blade. They did the short, and a few of the same characters were in that that did the full-length movie as Sling Blade. So, the character, Carl Childers, I'm going to say what everybody else says. He's mildly mentally retarded. But there's just something about him. Billy Bob Thornton created this character. His facial expressions, just how his facial and his hunchback. Billy Bob Thornton gained 60 pounds to give the real meaning of Carl Childers. You come to find out who he truly is. His monologue in the first 5 minutes of the movie is one of the best. It's probably one of the building blocks of why it's a masterpiece today. And it is a masterpiece, and you look it up, and it will be, everybody calls it a masterpiece. Carl Childers, Billy Bob Thornton created Carl Childers, a method acting. Not only did Billy Bob Thornton star as Carl Childers, he wrote the screenplay and he directed the movie. So 3 jobs in one. Billy Bob Thornton won he won the Oscar for Best Screenplay Adaptation. And I'm going to throw out there, the movie was made for $1 million, and it grossed $24 million. Low budget movie. And here's another one that hits high with me, is that it was made in Arkansas, one of our places where we were born and raised. Arkansas. There was 3 places it was filmed at, and not only was it filmed there, Billy Bob Thornton is from Arkansas, and he wrote the first draft longhand in Hot Springs, Arkansas, in his hometown, in his home, his family's home.
Do you know how long it took him to write the screenplay?
No, I do not.
9 days.
There you go. Somebody that can knock out it's one of those things, however you want to say it, where the stars align. The stars aligned for this movie. I'm going to go on with the cinematography. In a way, if you looked at it, the cinematography is simple, like Carl is, but it hits the emotions, the dialogue, the cast. I'm going to get on to the cast here a couple more minutes. It opens up and it has J.T. Walsh talking to Billy Bob Thornton's character, Carl Childers. And just hearing that, the dialogue, where movies nowadays, the dialogue is, they feel like the dialogue either floods the movie or the dialogue's just there because it's an action blockbuster. This dialogue, it's a drama. It's, I can't even, heart-wrenching and memorable. And then you have the cast. The cast is top-notch. You have 5 big-named actors in the movie. You have Billy Bob Thornton. You have John Ritter. He passed away a couple years ago. You have Dwight Yoakam as the antagonist, as Doyle. And you have Robert Duvall that plays Carl Childers' father. And then you have the young boy, which is Lucas Black, who has come to, I think he did a couple of Fast and Furious roles and some other stuff. 1996 was one of those years in cinematic history to where the stars were aligned. They were pumping out movies from John and I talked about this a couple minutes ago. From 85 to 89 and then 92 to 96. It just seemed like Hollywood, the indie films in Hollywood were coming out with the best movies to date, and Sling Blade is by far one of the top 3 in 1996 and in those time frames to be come out. Low budget, but it wasn't low budget into the fact it skipped on plot, on just emotions, and the characters. The characters made the movie, and Carl Childers is one of those characters that will be forever in cinematic history. And that's why I choose Sling Blade.
Very good, Bobby. I completely agree with a lot of what you said. Great movie. I actually watched it this afternoon just to kind of get me in the mood for our debate. But unfortunately, it's not going to touch Forrest Gump. Here's why. Forrest Gump, he's, him and, Carl, very, very similar. They're both simple people. They don't, they're almost to the point where, the rest of the world, they're just completely oblivious to the rest of the world. But Tom Hanks' character, Forrest Gump, he proves that you don't need to be born into greatness to become great. He's got below average intelligence. In fact, he wasn't even supposed to go to the normal school, but his mom really wanted him to go to school.
Oh, Sally Fields took one for the team.
That's right. And, then he, it's really, what Forrest Gump is, it's a story about, if you believe in something, just do it. Because Forrest Gump basically, he doesn't know that he can't do, he's not supposed to be able to achieve all this greatness. He was a war hero. He was a ping pong champion. He becomes a gazillionaire selling shrimp. And, but at the core, it's a love story. He meets the love of his life, Jenny, when he's very young. And throughout the entire movie, he's looking for love. And Jenny truly believes at one point that he doesn't know what love is. And that one scene is extremely heart-wrenching whenever you watch it. But, but basically, great story. One of the most quotable movies of that time. Stupid is as stupid does. Life is like a box of chocolates. Countless others.
Lieutenant Dan, ice cream.
Lieutenant Dan, run, Forrest, run! And, got Tom Hanks, his second Oscar in a row. I mean, and then you have people like, it basically kick-started Gary Sinise's career. Sally Field already had, a great career up until that point, but she, as Mrs. Gump, just blew it out of the water. And a shorter role, I can't think of the actor who played Bubba, but a shorter of a role that he had, he made an impact on the movie with the short amount of time he was in there. You know, I'm a shrimp boat. I'm gonna have me a shrimp boat, and I want you to be my first mate. And him going off and all the different types of shrimp. And everything just came together. And Forrest Gump, he meets every president that was around during his time somehow. And it's just, but when it comes down to the core, it's a love story. And heart-wrenching as it is, when they finally marry each other, it's just basically weeks, months away until Jenny dies. And that scene where he's reading her, talking to her underneath the tree that they spent many childhood moments, and he's sitting there and he starts crying. It just broke my heart. In the scene where Jenny finally tells him that little Forrest is his child, you truly see how great an actor Tom Hanks is. Whenever he knows that he's slow, he knows whenever he looks to her, he's like, is he like me, or is? And she says he's one of the smartest in his class, and he starts crying. Like, that makes me cry just thinking about it. But yeah, like I said, you have Lieutenant Dan, you have Bubba, you have Forrest. I say run, Forrest, run. It's got to be Forrest Gump winning this argument. Not even close.
I'm going to have to agree with you, but the way I want to look at it, though, is maybe they do compare, and they're not on the same wavelength.
No. It's not exactly a fair. It's too. It's apples and oranges, is what it is.
It's studio versus indie, but they're comparable for what they had, and for the low budget and what Billy Bob had, what it imprinted on cinema history, like Forrest Gump did with. I mean, they had Forrest Gump and that production and the story and the script and the actors. You never see that shit ever. We won't probably ever see that again in our lifetime.
No.
Ever. Forrest Gump and Shawshank Redemption are by far just it. I can't even explain it. Just
they're my 1 and 2 favorite movies. Forrest Gump and Shawshank.
Everything that you said about the emotions and all that, and how people feel. Because for me, when I think Forrest Gump, and not only is it one of the greatest movies, it reminds me of my childhood so much, and then my mom before she passed away. So I think that's why it sinks in to me a lot more, and it hits home because. Yeah,
movies are just like music, where whenever you watch it, it takes you back to a place where, what were you doing whenever the first time you watched it? It'll bring you back, good memories, sad memories, But yeah, it's both great movies, both in my top 10, both great actors. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you come in. Which movie wins, basically? Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think, and tell you what. If anyone's listening to this point, give us 2 movies you want us to argue the next time we do this. Pick any 2 movies. We will argue. We will pick who gets what, and we will argue it and declare one of us the victor. But yeah, this might lead us into another idea that we've been talking about. We'll get to that here in a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Blissfully Unaware.
Showdown!